Overtown is one of my favorite places in Miami because it is so rich in history. This is where Black people were mandated to live because Miami was segregated. So you didn't have a choice. You lived in colored town.
I grew up in Overtown, and it was a very pleasant experience. I felt love from my neighbors. I felt love from my teachers. I felt love from my church members. And so it was like a village. Everybody knew everybody. You were expected to excel, and your education was important.
Booker T. Washington High School in Overtown was the first high school built in Miami for Black children. It wasn't just a site for learning. You had concerts at Booker T. Washington High School where celebrities would come and perform there. It was also a site of community care. This is where community meetings happened. Because there was such a large Bahamian population, it's also where the naturalization classes would happen to become a US citizen.
It was gorgeous, beautiful. It produced so many teachers. I mean, if you look back on the history of Booker T and what it really produced for Florida, for Miami, it was school teachers.
And there was a real Klan presence in Miami. In the 1930s, in fact, the Klan rode through Overtown and hang an effigy of a person with a t-shirt that said, "This N-word voted." And it was to scare Black voters from voting in Overtown. Overtown saw the most amount of voters following that Klan scare tactic.
The Longshoremen Union was the first union to let Black people in. And that's important. Remember, when Miami was being built, particularly after the 1926 hurricane destroyed the city, when Miami was being rebuilt, if you didn't have a union card, you couldn't work on these buildings except to maybe push wheelbarrows. So as long as Blacks were not allowed to join the electricians, plumbers, they were basically relegated to just the basic labor work in construction. The longshoremen admitted Blacks. My dad was a longshoreman. It delivered us from being a migrant family, as we were, to being a blue-collar family.
I remember when the Hampton House was a very elegant place, and most of the celebrities who came to Miami stayed at the Hampton House Motel. People like Dr. Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali. In fact, when he beat Sonny Liston, he had his victory party at the Hampton House. Nancy Wilson stayed at the Hampton House. Malcolm X stayed at the Hampton House, and he proselytized Muhammad Ali to the Muslim faith at the Hampton House.
This was also a site of resistance. The Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, who most people will know as the folks who organized many of the sit-ins across the South, that happened here at the Hampton House, that CORE organized here. It is said that Dr. Martin Luther King wrote one of the first drafts of his I Have a Dream speech here.
The preservation of Black history is very important. And a group of us made an appeal to the county not to tear it down. Most of the Black hotels were gone. And it would look like that part of our history, if the Hampton House were to be torn down, we would have nothing to show of what it was like back in the days of segregation.
You're actually hearing the term revitalization in a lot of Black neighborhoods in Miami. It's like, okay, like we're ready for these neighborhoods to come to life. And even the term come to life, you have to ask, for whom? Because for the people who live there, they will tell you that we've been alive and our neighborhood was lively.
I am so tired of hearing about the revitalization of Overtown. I've been hearing about that for 30 years, one plan after another. None of them have ever come to any real fruition. And the ones that I'm hearing about now, bringing back the cultural history and center of Black Miami and having that be Overtown again, as much as I wish it could happen, I'm so doubtful. Mainly because of the economic pressures on Overtown and on the land in Overtown and on the desire that so many people who are not Black, who are not historically connected to that community, wanted to live there.
I think that Overtown is losing its heritage and its history. And I think that these developers come in and take advantage. They're buying up all of the property, and then they're putting these high-rises so they can make money. And Black people are not really benefiting from that. I see it as devastation. It's devastation of the culture and of the history and of what Black people have built.
We need to understand each other's hurt before we can come together and make progress as a community, as a nation. And right now, we're not doing that.
We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of education to teach. And we have a lot to share.